You basically come to the conclusion that it's one big lie. You have proof that they lied to you. You realize that you got ripped off basically because if you're paying somebody for them to lie to you, you got ripped off.
What your doctor knows, there's a discrepancy. But I want people to go away saying they've been told you have to be sick forever. They've been told that this is incurable and you have to take this med. And it's all lies. My message is that I want people to know that you don't have to be sick.
At the Quantum Summit, I know we're covering everything from cleaning the food, cleaning the air, cleaning the waterways. Eating organic is going to be the standard. Welcome to the show, Doc. But before we get started, folks, make sure you hit the pause button. Okay, go down below. There's a Rumble link. Go over to Rumble and follow us over there. QFS1776.com is, without question, the holy grail of what's to come. Okay, T-shirts. You got to get yourself decorated. This way people will ask you, what is XRP? What is the quantum financial system? What is this? What is that? And you send them where? To QFS1776.com, where they need to immerse themselves, because we're going to burn down this system down to the ground. And out of the ashes will rise the phoenix. There'll be nothing to go back to. Believe me when I tell you that. Also, our Telegram groups down below. If you want to learn what's coming and you're sort of a little scared, I understand. Believe me, I was there too at one point. And if you need more than $10,000 worth of XRP or $1 million worth of XRP, you come see me. Send me an email at QFS1776@gmail, and we'll get you as much as you want. Gold and silver. Welcome to CarminesGold.com. Don't waste not even a second looking. Cheaper prices just don't exist. How important is it for you to own gold and silver right now? What does it mean to me personally? There's an economy that's about to crash beyond what words can explain. In 5 words, I'm going to educate you on gold and silver. Are you ready? You need to own some. Simple. Well, welcome, folks. We got Dr. Leyla. Dr. Leyla and I had the pleasure to meet in Tampa at Louis Hearn's event. It was awesome. And she's also somewhat of an accomplished comedian. By the way, the glasses are for protection because I start tearing if I don't wear them. I'm very cool without them, but I'd rather wear them and protect myself. Doctor, I know that when you were at the event, not only are you an amazing speaker, and you are a pharmacist who realized that those things that you normally sell don't work, and you basically are going the other way, which is pretty amazing. We hope that more people cross the fence, right, as we go. But the reality is she's also somewhat of an accomplished comedian, and she made some pretty good fun of Louis Hearns on stage. So I'm wondering, what in the world is she going to be talking? What skit are you creating that you're going to be making fun of Mel Carmine? I'm curious, because I tell you, that was some pretty funny stuff. Welcome to the show, Doc.
Oh, well, you just planted that seed. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun because they actually had a roast for Lewis, and it's like just the stuff started coming out, and it's nice when it's for the people that know him. It's funniest, So it was just really good, and he's a good sport, and
He sure
like,
is.
I want to get beat up like that. Okay, you asked for it.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, thanks for having me. And I
Yeah.
mean the
And you
goal
can
is
take a couple of shots at him because he's going to be at the event as well, at the Quantum Summit. So he's having me on his show, I think, in the next couple of days.
okay, good. I'm glad he's
Yeah.
coming too because
Yeah. Yeah.
he's awesome. But yeah, the goal is to get the message out and entertain people. So that's what I'd like to do ideally. Like, we don't need these dry voices. I like the whole medical system is people in white coats telling you big words that you don't understand, so you have to believe them. And that's part of the whole shift that we have to do. And I know you know that because your colorful background, it's like
Yes. Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about what you plan. I know we're going to put you on a panel. It all really comes down to how many speakers show up. We are expecting, nothing less than 30, and there could be as many as 40, or we could be wrong and maybe only 22 show up, right? It all depends on this. There's no manual to do what we do. This is like herding cats, okay? And there's no manual for herding cats. And so you do the best you can. And when you're the lions, then you sort of figure it out. Okay, these people like to talk about this. We'll put these 5 together. We'll put these 3 together, etc. And then you just roll by the seat of your pants, and hopefully you get it right, And so that's how we're going to do it. But what are you planning on talking when you on stage with other people, besides the fact that the drugs that you went to school to learn how to sell don't work?
Yeah, so I've been doing the deprescribing podcast for basically almost a year now, and I did it before that for a while. But I think the message, and I'm learning as we go too. And it's like what I want people to know is that what you learn from a doctor, if you're going to the doctor for all your healthcare needs, they're not trained in all health, right? I mean, so in one of the last talks I did, I'm like, okay, what is health, right? And but I'll give you the overview first. Like, if you realize what health is and what your doctor knows, there's a discrepancy. But I want people to go away saying, like, they've been told you have to be sick forever. They've been told that this is incurable, and all these things, and you have to take this med, and it's all lies. So I want when I my message is out, I want people to know that you don't have to be sick. It's not that hard to get well when you have the components, and people have been lied to so much. Um, and even I know when you saw me talk, I was talking about the lies that were told by the companies. I mean, you go to the American Diabetes Association, and the first thing that pops up is donate money. And there's like 6 or 7 tabs to donate money, and that's what they want right away. And then if you look at the language, and I really point out the language to people on these sites, American Cancer Society, American Diabetes Society, and it tells you that you're going to be sick for a long time. It's a chronic disease.
So you basically come to the conclusion that it's one big lie. You figured out that they lied to you. You have proof that they lied to you. So you went to school. You paid them a bunch of money, and you realized that you got ripped off basically because if you're paying somebody for them to lie to you, you got ripped off.
Yeah, I mean, I have student loans of all the lies. It's like
Okay,
it's
interesting. You're still
it's
paying those off, right?
yeah. I'm not really paying them, but I mean, yes, I still have them. So
Right.
here, let me just talk about acid reflux real quick because that's like such an
Sure.
easy one to share. So if you
And you're a doctor. You're qualified to talk about this, by the way. Okay. So YouTube, if you're listening, she's a doctor. So hey, don't
yeah,
flag this freaking video.
doctor of pharmacy. So, not a medical doctor, but so the medical doctors think they're the doctors, right? I mean, but there's, like they're the top of the food chain. They need to be one of many choices. That's part of the thing
Right.
too. So acid reflux, if you look at it, they have tons of ads on TV on these purple boxes that look pretty. Nexium, Prevacid, Prilosec, and they have people having fun. You know, at barbecues, just everything. Should I share my slides? Is that okay if I
Yeah,
do
you
that?
can. Yeah, you got the
Okay,
permission
let's
to
do
do
that.
so.
Okay, so heartburn, acid reflux, it's they make it act out like a big disease. And these are the ones, the pretty ones are over the counter, so people buy them. These are prescription, the Protonix and Dexalon. But these are the commercials here where they make it just look fun and safe, right? And that's Larry the Cable Guy, I think.
Hmm.
Barbecue, all the food. So it's like a normal part of society if you're fun. I mean, just tons. Look, families on there, but as long as they have that, going to bed, acid reflux. So they just make it look like it's a normal part. But there's a lot of problems with it. And one of the first problems is that it's only approved for up to 14 days, right? And that's it by the manufacturer. 8 to 12 weeks. And that's it. That's as much as it's safe. And that's on all of these, not more for 14 days Prevacid.
Interesting.
So they're not, but they are prescribed for years and nobody
Yeah.
stops it. And
Yeah.
we all know that if the government or powers that be want you to have something, they can make it easier or harder, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
But gee, if you have acid reflux, which is basically heartburn, or if you're Italian, it's called agita, right? The reality is, don't you like you could take a little sodium bicarbonate and it takes care of that problem?
that's part of it. I'm going to show you the problems with the acid reflux real quick, the
Hmm.
medications, and then easy ways to get rid of it. So there's all side effects too. Acid reflux meds,
Hmm.
increased bone fractures, increased diarrhea, increased infections, low magnesium levels, and vitamin B12 deficiency. And there's
Hmm.
been a lot of lawsuits on these as well.
Hmm.
Another problem with taking these is if you get rid of the acid in your stomach, it's the first line defense against invaders. So virus,
Wow.
bacteria, fungi, parasites. Now you don't have that. And one of the side effects is increased risk of infections, right?
Hmm.
Um, then we have to ask, why is there acid reflux in the first place?
Hmm.
And if we understand that the body's always working to create balance, then there's a reason. And it's because it's
Hmm.
trying to break down the food, right? And it's like temperature. And when we get too hot, we sweat. When we get too cold, we shiver. And that's your
Right.
body's attempt to get you to the right temperature. So what if you went to the doctor and you say, I don't like shivering, it's uncomfortable. You're like, okay, here's a pill to stop shivering, right? So you feel comfortable. Well, there's
It's
going to be some problems, but that's what they're doing all the time, like it's nuts.
but aren't you at risk at losing your license as a pharmacist coming against the industry that you went to school to pay all this money to learn a bunch of lies?
The funny thing, even in my book, which I don't know if you have my book, I'm going to mail you my books if you don't have them.
Sure.
Um, yeah, so, but even in my book, it's really easy to read. And I made it, when I wrote my book, I had the thought that, nobody's going to believe me. Why would they believe me against all these sophisticated people?
Mm-hmm.
And so I made it so it's like what people can see themselves,
Mm-hmm.
like that you can't really argue it.
Mm-hmm.
And the intro in there is I have the king wore no clothes.
Mm-hmm.
When the whole world was going, hey, the king, he's had these beautiful clothes. And it was a little kid that says he's not wearing anything. And it's that simple truth that we don't look at anymore, So the whole book is with that. And yes, of course, there's a risk that they'll find something,
Mm-hmm.
but I kind of did it with that in mind. Um, and so the problem is when you have acid for a reason and you reduce it, now you have problems with digestion, right? The food isn't getting broken down. What happens to these chunks of food that you can't digest? You're going to have indigestion, gas, maybe irritable bowel. You get some inflammation and also malabsorption. And if you look back at these side effects, that's exactly what happens, right? Increased
Exactly.
risk of bone fractures, increased risk of diarrhea because you're not breaking down food, increased risk of infections. And so everything, it just makes sense. And so what can you do? And you mentioned one of them there. And also here, it's easy to get, right? Like if you want a COVID shot, you can get a donut, right, for getting it. And if COVID shot, they'll give it to you on a platter. If you want hydroxychloroquine, you have to go through secret channels. So this is covered on insurance. Nobody ever questions it, even though it's not approved. They don't give hydroxychloroquine because it's not approved for whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's over the counter, covered on insurance, first line. So these are super easy to get, and they're going to keep you in the medical system if you take them all the time.
Well, that
So
that shot that they were giving away during the COVID, they even used the oldest profession in the world without mentioning what that oldest profession is to act because that's the level of desperation that they have reached. Okay, and literally they were. You know what the oldest profession in the world is? I'm sure the
I,
audience knows what the oldest profession in the world is.
I,
Okay,
I, I do. I believe it has to be do with hookers. But go
yeah,
ahead.
something with sex. Yeah.
Something with sex. Yeah, not the internet. Not the
Yes.
internet.
Yeah. And
Um.
some stupid, desperate guys who are ugly, who probably haven't gotten laid in a very, very long time, fell for it.
So what do you mean? Like they? How did they entice them? Did they get a free whatever?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
I didn't
yes.
know that.
Fellatio, all of it, and some people who haven't gotten laid in a long time were ugly as sin. They probably couldn't get laid in a whorehouse with a fistful of hundreds. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
yeah, those guys went for it. They said, "Oh, the government, you can trust the government, and are they going to give me free sex? I'll take the free sex. Yeah, I'll take two of those, and I'll take one to go.
Right.
Come on,
Or
you know
or free donut. Well, what kind? Right.
exactly.
Yeah, I didn't know they did that. I heard that
They
all kinds
did,
of.
they did absolutely, and that's verifiable.
Yeah.
Free
Um.
movies, free pizzas, even pizzas. I'm an ex pizzeria impresario. They were even giving away free pizzas if you take it. Okay,
Yeah,
amazing.
I saw. I think I saw donuts. I saw. I can't remember. It's been a while now, but I didn't see the hooker thing. I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
I'm sure you could
yeah,
easily look that up on the internet.
yeah, I'm sure you could, unless they took it off. Anyway, so here's steps to reduce acid reflux. And again, the things that are going to work is your body has a job of taking whatever you decide to eat, breaking it down, absorbing the nutrients, and getting rid of the waste, right?
Hmm.
So anything that's going to help that process is what we have to do. And the first one I tell people is to chew your food just 30 times until it's like a liquid. And even that slows you down. And now you don't have chunks of food. They're broken down so much. And some people have told me that that's enough right there to help them. Like you don't need anything else except slowing down. The second one is to avoid foods that cause excess acid production. So there's these foods that, of course, the good ones, not the good ones, but the ones that are most eaten, and those are it needs acid to be broken down, like fried food, processed food, coffee, alcohol, meat, dairy, baked goods,
Mm-hmm.
chocolate, soda. And the third one is to eat the ones that don't need acid to be broken down as much. And that's the simple natural foods from the earth, whole grains, couscous, oatmeal, brown rice, all the good stuff, carrots, asparagus.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then yeah, so in the past, people would pick an apple from a tree when apples were in season, right? And eat
Right.
it. Now foods genetically modified, processed, artificially flavored, artificially colored, added preservatives and chemicals, injected with antibiotics, hormones, sprayed with pesticides, frozen, packed, microwaved, breaded, fried, and then dipped in ranch dressing.
And
And
then you
so
wonder why we're sick.
we wonder why we're sick. And don't forget the high fructose corn syrup, MSG. And so, yeah, our food isn't real anymore. So we really have to go back to the basics. And,
No
you know,
question about it.
yeah.
No question about it. Yeah.
Digest
Go
digestive
ahead.
enzymes. Oh, go ahead.
No, no, go ahead.
Oh, digestive enzyme is another one. We have them naturally, but I think we get older, we need more to supplement them. And you can get them through these foods, papaya, pineapple, and they help break down the food so you can utilize the nutrients in the stomach. Sauerkraut, kimchi, miso. And then you, of course, some people buy them from the store. You can just buy a pill and take it before you eat, and that helps break down the food.
Yeah.
Um, Next one is probiotics because we need good antibiotics in our we need the good bacteria in our digestive tract. And if you have taken antibiotics, then they've gotten wiped out before, and so you can get those through the fermented food, sauerkraut, yogurt, kombucha, a lot of the foods, and also you can buy it at the grocery store, probiotic supplement. So those two. Number six is you want to relax while eating. And so the there's a parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic. So when we're relaxed is when our digestion works best. So the story is when we're fight or flight, the sympathetic nervous system is active, right? So it goes to your heart, it goes to the extremities, so you can fight or flight or run. And so that's when you don't want to eat. But nowadays people are in low levels of stress all day. And so that's kind of a problem. So we really have to like carve out time to relax and eat. And they also say blessing your food before you go. Just have that calm moment. Don't sit and eat with people that disagree with you politically, right? Just make sure, and don't talk to annoying people while you're eating.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one is to stop calling it a disease, right? So if you have acid reflux, you have heartburn, you could adjust a few things to get rid of it. But once they call it acid reflux and then you have it a few times a week, they call it gastroesophageal reflux disease. So now you have this thing and it's bigger and you have an insurance code, right? And so they like to do that. They take anxiety that you could do some breathing techniques for and call it generalized anxiety disorder. And they want to make it bigger in your head. So stop calling it a disease. You have a little acid reflux, you can adjust a few things and get rid of it, you know?
Totally.
So, and so these are the seven ones that I have here. Chew your food, avoid foods that create acid in the stomach, that eat the simple natural foods from the earth, digestive enzymes, probiotics, relax while eating. And if you still have acid reflux after doing these simple things, that's when you go to the doctor, right? So if
Sure.
we get back to these basics of health, people won't need all these drugs. And I think the problem is that they don't know how dangerous they are, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not the side effects, it's the long-term effects that you don't see that are caused that are down the line a year, 2 years down the road, the damage
Yep.
that these things have done, because there's no reason why people should be dying at 75, 80 years old, 78 years old. No
Right.
one's dying of old age. I mean, look, not to bring it up, but we own a healing center in Cape Canaveral, which is all frequency based, and we
Right.
have
Right.
conclusive evidence now from a third party lab that the telomeres are going the other way. And guess what, guys? My brown spots, which are really really dark, are getting lighter. Okay. I bet you by the time these suckers are gone, if I send in a blood test to the lab over in Texas, I bet you they're going to send me my telomere chart. My telomeres will be like 17 centimeters long by the time the Quantum Summit rolls around.
The upcoming Quantum Summit represents a convergence of advanced scientific, technological, and socioeconomic paradigms aimed at addressing some of the most pressing and transformative issues of our time. The topics, curated to spark intellectual and practical innovation, include next-generation digital finance systems, examination of digital assets like XRP, XLM, XDC, and their alignment with the ISO 222 standard for interoperability and global financial integration. The emergence of gold-backed Basel-compliant tokens, setting a new precedent for asset-backed financial instruments. Discussion of the role of XRP as a potential stablecoin, RLUSD, and its implications of redefining real USD stability, currency reevaluation, and sound money principles. Insights into potential reevaluation of legacy currencies such as the Iraqi dinar, Vietnamese dong, and Zimbabwe dollar. Advocacy for a gold-backed monetary system and the reintroduction of sound money to stabilize global economies. This summit promises a rare opportunity to engage with groundbreaking ideas, cutting-edge technologies, and visionary thought leaders. Attendees will leave with unparalleled insights and actionable knowledge, making this event as a pivotal milestone in the journey towards a sustainable, equitable, and enlightened future. Prepare for discussions that challenge conventional narratives and illuminate the path to systemic global transformation.
Which I'm looking forward to. What are some of the things you think that should be discussed that maybe we're overlooking, obviously, at the Quantum Summit? I know we're covering everything from cleaning the food, cleaning the air, cleaning the waterways. Eating organic is going to be the standard under RFK. A lot of great stuff happening in that respect. And also, we're talking about the quantum financial system, which happens to be blowing up today because in anticipation for El Capo di Tutti Capi, the boss of bosses, Donald J. Trump coming back, which is the right leadership, the markets are reacting based on his expertise, based on his track record. The markets are intelligent, the markets think, the markets react, and the markets are moving upward because Monday is going to be what? The inauguration. And I've been predicting all along, even though there's a lot of people out there painting fear porn, Donald Trump will put his hand on the Bible. End of story. So is there anything that we need to cover? That I think we got pretty much all the really important stuff, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I think really needs to be addressed that's not. And I call it like the 7 pillars of health. So, people are hitting up nutrition and detox, The power of the mind, I mean, is a big one too, because we've been really they've really taught us to not believe that we can heal. And we need to know, I mean, just the whole belief system has to change. The other one that I really like to focus on because I feel like it's missed out a lot is emotions. So if we process and release our emotions, it's a big part of our health. So we have no education how to express and release emotions, but it's a really important. If you're familiar with Louise Hay's works, Louise Hay was one. She had a book called "You Can Heal Your Life," and she says there's an emotion that's not expressed behind every disease. And so if we understand that, and she talks about even an ingrown toenail is having a resistance to moving forward and to cancer. So with cancer, there's some kind of resentment that hasn't been expressed. And there's all kinds of, lung cancer is a different one. There's another one that I think is Terrence Hammer. Dr. Terrence Hammer was a doctor in the 70s, and he had a son that died from an accidental gunshot wound. Of course, he was traumatized. And soon after, he got testicular cancer. And he realized he'd never been sick before. So he felt the trauma of his son dying had something to do with it. So he started asking all of his patients if they had a trauma before their illness came on. And he said he asked over 1,000 patients, and all of them said yes, they had something that was very life-changing, something that threw them off balance, and they didn't feel that they could really process it well. And so then he got one of the CAT scans, and he started scanning the brain, and he could see after a trauma, there'd be a ring in the brain. And from the location in the brain, they could tell what organ was going to be affected, right? So you'd have an
Interesting.
emotional trauma that wasn't released, and then a physical response, and then the disease. And he also said our bodies always, it's a biological meaning of disease. They don't happen randomly. And
Hmm.
your body's always working to create balance. So when he has testicular cancer, he didn't respond to he didn't process the emotion. His body's responding by growing testicular cells so he can procreate,
Hmm.
right? It's like a adapt, and it's a really amazing approach because it takes in mind the power of the mind. It takes in mind emotions
Hmm.
and all these things in the body. Like when I read that, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. This should be the basics of our health to understand that. And there's a book called Biodecoding, and she's actually been on my podcast as well a few times that teaches it. But if you have someone that had ovarian cancer, they might have
Hmm.
broken up with someone that they're planning to have a family with, and they
Yeah.
respond, or the kids leave the nest. Now, if the kids leave the nest and you're happy, you're fine, right?
Yeah.
It's a normal process of life. But if you feel emptiness or you don't have a purpose or something, then you could get ovarian cancer. So it's a really empowering way to look at health because the way you view things can actually create disease or not create disease.
Right.
So,
You know, we just had an event. What do you, first of all, where do you stand on frequency, using frequency as a mechanism so that the body recognizes the frequency and it's the body that heals the body? What do you know about that, if anything? Before I tell you about this amazing testimonial that we had recently at Staying Alive in Cape Canaveral.
so there's a book called that I read and it had planes of existence, and the bottom one was minerals and rocks and things like that to heal, and crystals. And the second one was food that we eat, and the third was movement. All the way, like I think they had shamanism, they had different ones, but the sixth one was the light and energy healing, and the
Hmm.
seventh one was directed to God. So that's I feel like it's like if you have to do that, but there's also, you still have to move your body. You still have to forgive people, right? You still have to have your minerals in the food and exercise. So I think it's one of the things that also is coming back. Like I said, if you did traditional Chinese medicine, they address energy, right? All these older practices address energy. So it's kind of making a comeback, and we need it because it's not part of our medical system. So
Yeah.
I think there's a huge place for it.
Well, let me tell you, we invited all of our members. We have one of these every now and then, and we had a packed house, and we had some testimonials come in through Zoom. One of them specifically from my good friend Dallas and his lovely wife Christine out of the Carolinas, and they called me about 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago. Is listen, our daughter who's married, she says the couple is having a hard time getting pregnant, so they tried everything. And this could really get costly if you even can find the doctor that knows what the hell he's doing to see if
Right.
they can get you pregnant. Okay. After a long, long time trying to get pregnant and nothing was working, they came and stayed in our center 2 days, 2 nights, overnights. They slept in the system 2 nights. She went home and she got pregnant immediately. She thought she was seeing things. She took the test, the pregnancy test, like 5, 6 times to make sure that she was pregnant. Well, the news is that she's pregnant. We've had everything on stage, also live testimonials from some of our members. Elderly gentleman, 72, 73 years old. He's like, I'm getting erections again. So we got everybody from getting pregnant. Typically, erections are associated with people getting pregnant, you know.
Yeah, right.
So
They all
I
go
mean,
together.
every conceivable, and that one that starts with a C and ends with an R that we're not allowed to mention here. I'm trying to keep it clean for YouTube purposes. Literally drying up. I mean, lady had tumors all over her body, bleeding. Okay, who are no longer bleeding. Okay. And she said, Mel, we tried everything. The doctor, the system sucked $110,000 out of her, and then they sent her basically home to die, and they brought it to me. And the reality is she's turning around. She's having a marvelous turnaround. Now, I recommended to her, even though I'm not a medical doctor, I'm not allowed to make medical recommendations, but I don't recommend medicine. I don't work with medicine. I work with natural stuff. So I said, you need to do the salt baths, which she's doing religiously. Now she just got her book because she's getting bombarded with information, so I can understand. But
Right,
she,
right, right.
yeah. So, and you can get very confused and overwhelmed when you get all these people throwing remedies at you, but we know some things are definitely more attributed to work than others. So hydrogen peroxide, for example, right? Food grade, 35%. I'm telling you to take it internally 3, 4 times a day, starting with 5 drops and working it up to 30 drops, 3, 4 times a day in the glass of water. You let it sit for 3 minutes before you ingest it. It's got a real nasty, gassy aftertaste, but it's really short-lived. It's a small price to pay. And then to also take baths, warm water with hydrogen peroxide in the bath water, because the skin is the biggest organ, right? And so
Right,
she's
detox.
reading the book. She's reading the book. Plus, she's doing a couple of other things that are also very promising as well, that have a track record naturally based, that came from my friend Lydia. And she's made an incredible turnaround. I mean, she came in on a walker. She should have been on a wheelchair. She's no longer using the walker. She's walking. She's
And
walking.
what was her
It,
diagnosis?
well, I can't say it here, but the one that starts with a C ends with an R.
Oh, okay,
Okay,
gotcha.
because we
Wow,
don't we
that's
don't
awesome.
cure that. We don't cure that. And we don't have a cure. Actually, the machines are not a cure. The machines just basically omit an energy field, and the body understands that energy field as if it was a language, and the body gets instructed to start repairing itself. It's really the body that does all of the heavy lifting. It's like if you cut your finger, right? It's your body that heals the finger, correct? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. You cut out a little bit, yes. So, and this is, my book, which we can't say. You've been diagnosed with that word,
Right.
and now you're panicked. And that's why I don't want people to have the fear and go through all that stuff and add more toxins to their body. But it's an overview, so it can be many things, but like getting them calm in the beginning and
Hmm.
then taking action. And it's the same thing with nutrition, detox, letting go of emotions and resentments, power the mind, knowing that you can heal. Purpose. I put purpose in there too, because when people are on purpose, you're alive, right? You're doing what you're supposed to. Did you see Breaking Bad, the show? I
I,
bet.
I seen parts of it. I'm not a big television or a big Netflix guy. Every now and then I'll get sucked into a show, but not often.
Well, so the funny thing is that he had that, and so he went on the rampage to become, and he was a really good drug dealer, right? Or creator. He
Hmm.
was in the lab. He was really good at it. And he did it because he had the C word. And then when he stopped doing it, it came back. Like he was
Hmm.
living his purpose. He said he felt alive doing it. And if you ever heard of Bernie Siegel, he
Hmm.
actually talks to Oh, you know him? Okay, yeah.
Hmm.
He talks to patients, and he said when they go off to die, well, go do what you love, and then the cancer heals. So
Hmm.
being in touch with yourself. The other thing is using your own guidance system to know what you need, right? Because
Yeah.
they disempower us. Ask
Hmm.
your doctor who has a white coat and uses big words, right?
Yeah.
I think we need courses on how to get in touch with our own guidance system, so it's just standard.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Yeah, it's fun to see things turning around in the right direction for the first time in a very, very, very long time. People used to live to be 1,000 years old. That was common back in biblical times. I think we're going to see that again. But we need the right leadership in place in order for that to happen. We need the people to get
right.
behind the right leadership that understands that, a guy like Donald Trump could have walked away from this whole thing. He had all the money, he has the yacht, he has the helicopters, he's got the jets, he
Yeah,
could have
yeah.
bought an island and disappear and say, you know what, you guys screwed this up. I'm leaving. You fix it. Call me back, and I'll think about coming back. But he didn't do that because he realized that we're too far gone, and
Um,
we're yeah, and his kids and his kids' kids and his kids' are not going to have a future. And so somebody had to take, you know, the helms of the ship and steer it in a different direction. So he's done that, and we're going to
um,
get behind them.
I heard yesterday that he started the External Revenue Service. Did you see that?
I heard that.
No, wait,
I've been
that could
saying
be
that
good,
forever. The
huh?
external revenue service. He's basically using a play on words to let you know that the IRS is finished. All these four-letter
That's
agencies,
what I
five-letter
thought.
agencies. Yeah, we have been yelling and screaming that it's Nasara and Jasara. It's going to be debt forgiveness. It's going to be a level monetary playing field. It's going to be a debt jubilee. Debt jubilee is basically Donald Trump telling the banks to go F off,
Yeah.
period. He's not going to say, "Oh, how much do we owe you? Let me give you a bunch of gold." No,
Right, right.
no. Donald Trump don't play like that. Donald
Well,
Trump is going to say, you've been screwing us for a long time. You owe us, not the other way around. Get lost. And
right,
that's the
right.
best thing that they could hear is get lost without having to pay a sentence down in Guantanamo Bay. You feeling me? Okay. And then we can get
Yeah.
into a 5-hour conversation on that alone. We won't do that. But you know what I'm saying. So it's all about the change, even though they're not calling it that, doctor, even though they're not calling it that, everything they're talking about doing has the same characteristics of, if you go to qfs1776.com, qfs1776.com, in the video column, there is number 9 is not a video at all. It is the actual original document written by the farmers that was presented to who? The Congress in 1958. Okay. Nasara and Jasara. The same characteristics that they're talking about doing right now, like the external, okay, what is it? What do you
External
call it?
Revenue Service.
External Revenue
Yeah.
Service. He goes on the Joe Rogan show. Are you thinking about getting rid of the IRS and getting rid of the taxes? Yeah, maybe. That's what he had. Yeah, maybe. I mean, the hints are so subtle and so like in your face that you know that that's the direction, even though they're not going to call it
So
that. It's
he's
perfectly
starting
okay.
with the foreign people, so they're going to pay the external revenue instead of the IRS, right? I think that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
okay. And then when's he going to get rid of the IRS for the people? Like, we're ready for that too.
Well, there should be a no taxation because the
Yeah.
value that we have in gold and silver, as far as I'm concerned, there should be zero taxation. Okay.
Yeah.
We have so much of an abundance of everything. People have been enslaved. You're being taxed on every time you go to the gas station, you're being taxed. Every time you go to the grocery store, you're being taxed. Every
Yep.
time you go anywhere, someone's got your hand in your pocket every day, 8 times a day, 18 times a day, 17 times a day, every day for the entire month. So let's put the pen to the paper and let's figure out how much you're paying in taxes. It's not just based on your income, it's based on every little thing you touch that you have to
Yeah.
pay Uncle Sam. It's a
That one,
scam.
yeah, and it doesn't go back to us, right? It goes to pedophilia, whatever.
It goes to the Vatican and it goes to the UK, the kingdom in the UK. We
Yeah.
never won the war with the British. We basically said, you go away and we'll pay you all these taxes. And if you go do your homework, you'll find out that we're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's so many rabbit holes and
Oh,
it's overwhelming. I mean, it's crazy that
yeah.
all the lies
Oh,
and just everything's a lie. The drugs are a lie. I mean,
yeah.
everything's,
Everything. And maybe even flat Earth could be the real thing. And we think we're on this round ball, and that may end up being a lie. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it is. I'm saying I don't know. That's why we're
if
gonna have
you,
some people on stage. Hopefully, if you're out there and you want to talk about flat Earth eloquently, call Mel Carmine. Send us an email at qfs1776@gmail.com. QFS7. It's a business email. Don't send me nonsense there, okay? Please, because I will delete you and I'll block you. Okay. QFS1776@gmail. Say, I'm a flat earther. In the subject line, come with a panel of flat earthers and I'll put you on stage and you could tell the world, why it's flat and why you think it's flat and give us the proof. But obviously,
I'll email
yeah.
you a guy that talks about that a lot. Like
What's his
he's good.
name?
And, he's fittest flat earther on Instagram.
Oh,
He
okay.
puts stuff. And there's
Is he
also
good?
he's really good. He talks a lot about the actors being repurposed and changing identities a lot, but look him up. Fittest flat earther. Also on Telegram is Ewaron, Ewaron, I think. And he
Okay.
had a series on flat earth, and that's when I go, oh my gosh. So Ewaron.
Yeah. So we're expecting quite the amount of people. It's speeding up. Like I've said, because the excitement level is now brewing as we look at the XRP. Let's look at it right now, and the price tag says, drum roll please, $2.94 right now, this second. So we expect that it will probably go past the $3.50 based on the momentum we have right now. Once Donald Trump puts his hand on the Bible and it goes to $6, $7, $8 or $10, I guarantee you that the Quantum Summit will be sold out in record time. Why? Because this is the first party where all the people who are waiting for this wealth transfer to come and party at. This is the first party that's going to happen in 2025, located at the Radisson Hotel in Cape Canaveral, March 8th, March 9th. This is the first party that you can come and hang out with your tribe. So,
Well, I'm really excited to be part of it and grateful. And I feel like I've been working on my own for the past maybe 15 years, learning all this stuff. And I feel like I have a lot to offer the new world of health because I've been kind of going. So it's really great. And I really want people to I want them to walk away empowered and not know, hey, you don't have to be sick. Or Buddha says, pain is, oh man, to suffering is pain is inevitable, suffering is an option. So,
Absolutely.
message is you can heal. So
Well,
let me,
when it comes from you, it's even more credible, doctor, simply because you have a diploma. I'm sorry to say, you went to the school of bullshit, right? They lied to you. You understood that these are all psychotropic or petroleum-based things that give you a side effect that don't work. So when you say, "Hey, it don't work," and you're a pharmacist, it becomes more off as becoming believable than when the ex pizzeria impresario tells you, "Hey, don't do that. It doesn't work." You understand? So she's telling you,
yeah.
not me. Okay.
Right, but I mean, they just get you so busy on doing these little things that don't matter, and then you go, "Wait a minute, what's the big picture is a mess, and we're fighting on this little corner here. The whole picture needs to be redone." So,
Bingo. Bingo.
but
Well, how do people find you? What is your Instagram channel? What is your YouTube channel? What is your Rumble channel? What books are you going to bring down to the Quantum Summit? Because all the speakers that come down, I'm not charging you for the table, but we're going to give you a table so that you could sell some of your books and offset some of your
cool.
travel expenses. So what's the best book? What's your best-selling book right now?
I have two books, and this one is Off Balance: The American Way of Health, a pharmacist's perspective on why drugs don't work. And I wrote this in 2012, and it's a comparison of Western medicine and holistic health. Easy to read, and I have interviews with several people that were able to heal themselves from health conditions that their doctors couldn't treat. And the people that showed up, I was still amazed at, someone showed up, she said she had chronic fatigue, 23 years old, slept 12 hours, woke up tired, brain fog, went to her doctor, said, I did research, I think you have chronic fatigue. He laughed at her, he goes, yeah, I do too. People that were in pain for 20 years that got out of it different ways. One guy, he had neuropathy and his legs would go numb, and the doctor told him he'd be in a wheelchair one day. He healed himself with hypnotherapy. So
Interesting.
another one with can that she in the 90s she had cervical and breast. I'm not used to not saying the word because I'm a bitch,
Yeah.
They the doctor screamed at her to go have surgery, and she's like, no, and she did it herself. And she did nutrition, she did detox, she let go, released emotions, she had groups. And the second book is this cancer one. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. So you've been diagnosed with that, and now you're in a panic handbook. And this one I just finished 2023. And it's because people have all that fear. And it's like, you just see so many people going, oh, my doctor says I have to do this now. And it's going to beat up their system, and knock them down. They're going to have to recover from it. And also, you don't if you don't understand what's causing it, you're going to be at risk of getting it back. There's an analogy I put in there too. Like if you're on a boat and you're driving, and all of a sudden the boat starts to sink, well, what's wrong with it? It's like, well, you have a hole in it. You haven't repaired it. You're, going too fast. All these things, you repair the hole, and you're not doing the other thing. It's like, yeah, it works, but you
Yeah.
might be at risk of having it again. So that's why it's like, if you get the big picture, learn how to use your guidance system, and then approach it, you can do it without fear. You can
Totally.
go, yeah, so that's what I want to do.
Totally.
I'm
Yeah.
doing a deprescribing class every Monday. It's free. It's on Zoom for anybody that wants to attend.
Hmm.
And Mel was my guest a couple weeks ago, so you're on there still. And that was a lot of people really appreciated that information. And quantum financial health. We kind of had we don't usually do that kind of thing, but we just called it
Sure.
health.
Yeah, it is
And
health. I mean, look, when you
yeah,
are, in a situation where you got some shekels in the bank, and if you don't want, you don't need to go to work for the next 5 years because you're okay financially speaking, and the stress is off, it is financial health because you don't have the pressure. Because when you have stress, it causes oxidative, what is it called? Oxidative stress. Oxidative
yeah,
stress starts breaking down the molecular structure of the body, which leads to disease, especially if your diet is what? A riot, right?
yeah. Well, I have not had that feeling in a long time. I've been on this mission working kind of part-time in that situation, and I'm starting courses and stuff, and I'm meeting people like you that believe in quantum health. So expecting a shift here.
Oh,
So
there's gonna be
we'll
a
see.
major shift, major
Yeah.
shift.
So
No
ready.
question about it. Well, it was a pleasure having you. Let's maybe do one more. Maybe we'll do a one-on-one on your show next before you come to the summit. This way people can get familiar with what they can expect. And
Oh,
I think she's an amazing comedian. Listen,
oh,
I was recently at a comedy show, and there was about maybe 12 comics that came up on stage, had a 15-minute skit each. And let me tell you, not one of them, no, all of them combined weren't as funny as she is. Okay. I'm telling you, they were terrible. We all sat there like, okay, when are these guys going to make us laugh? And there's a room full of people at this place called Speak Easy over in Cocoa Beach. And we're sitting there like saying, okay, when are you guys going to make us laugh? Because they weren't funny at all. She's funny.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it's such a rush when you do comedy. I kind of have to be in that mode, but I got a challenge, so we're gonna.
I like the way you deliver it with a very dry sense, and that's what and the delivery and the timing. That's what makes a comedy comedy. You know that, so you're very good at it.
Thank you so much. Let me just share my website too. I didn't do that yet.
Sure, and I'll have my editor put it down below as well. What is it?
Yeah, drleylaali.com, DRLEYLAALI.com. I also have prescribing pharmacist but that's site's in develop, but that'll find me too. But
Gotcha.
yeah, but anybody's welcome to come to the. We just did the 45th prescribing too, and there is just really so much fun on what we learn, that how people heal. So it's been great.
Sure. Don't forget to bring your books because I'm sure people are going to want to buy them at the Quantum Summit. I'll see you there. We'll do another show together. I'm looking forward to coming on your show. And guys, if you like this interview as much as I enjoy giving it, get it out there. You're the digital soldiers. Do your job. Thank you.
Thank you, Mel. Thank you.
The upcoming Quantum Summit represents a convergence of advanced scientific, technological, and socioeconomic paradigms aimed at addressing some of the most pressing and transformative issues of our time. The topics, curated to spark intellectual and practical innovation, include next-generation digital finance systems, examination of digital assets like XRP, XLM, XDC, and their alignment with the ISO 20022 standard for interoperability and global financial integration. The emergence of gold-backed Basel-compliant tokens, setting a new precedent for asset-backed financial instruments. Discussion of the role of XRP as a potential stablecoin, RLUSD, and its implications of redefining real USD stability, currency reevaluation, and sound money principles. Insights into potential reevaluation of legacy currencies such as Iraqi dinar, Vietnamese dong, and Zimbabwe dollar. Advocacy for a gold-backed monetary system and the reintroduction of sound money to stabilize global economies. This summit promises a rare opportunity to engage with groundbreaking ideas, cutting-edge technologies, and visionary thought leaders. Attendees will leave with unparalleled insights and actionable knowledge, making this event as a pivotal milestone in the journey towards a sustainable, equitable, and enlightened future. Prepare for discussions that challenge conventional narratives and illuminate the path to systemic global transformation.